In this podcast episode, Gary Brecka welcomes Barbara O'Neill, affectionately known as the grandmother of the world, to discuss her extensive insights on wellness, longevity, the immune system, gut microbiome, and the fundamental principles of anti-aging. The conversation is filled with experiential wisdom, scientific reflections, and practical advice aimed at empowering listeners to embrace natural health and their body's intrinsic healing abilities. Barbara begins by grounding the discussion in the concept that true longevity and vitality are deeply rooted in simple, time-tested principles rather than fad diets or complex biohacks. Drawing from Blue Zone's research, she highlights that individuals who live long, healthy lives consistently share three foundational qualities. They remain very active, socially connected, and consume food in its natural, unprocessed state. This runs contrary to the modern inclination toward dogmatic, restrictive diets focused solely on extremes like veganism, carnivore, or ketogenic regimens. Both Barbara and Gary joke about the paradoxical French lifestyle, noting that despite their consumption of cheese, wine, and cigarettes, they enjoy remarkably long lifespans, illustrating that rigid dietary dogma does not fully capture the complexity of human health. Rather than chasing the latest supplement or high-tech anti-aging modality, the common thread across all long-lived populations is an avoidance of processed foods and a lifestyle rich in community, purpose, and connection. One of the more provocative aspects of the conversation centers on infectious diseases and vaccines. Barbara challenges conventional narratives by asserting that the dramatic decline of childhood infectious diseases predates the widespread use of vaccines and owes its success primarily to improvements in hygiene, sanitation, and nutrition. She references historical facts about Florence Nightingale's pioneering work advocating hand-washing and sanitation reforms, as well as the transformation of water supply systems that ended rampant infections. Barbara underscores that many of the infectious diseases declined not because of vaccination programs, but because society stopped children from living in unsanitary environments. This historical context is used to frame a cautious stance toward vaccines, suggesting that although there is controversy, parents deserve unbiased information about vaccine ingredients and risks. She advocates for personal responsibility and the right of parents to make informed decisions rather than blindly following mandates. Barbara and Gary both emphasize the profound influence of the gut microbiome on immune function, noting that as much as 70% of the immune system is established by a healthy gut flora. They explore the dynamic relationship where humans do not eat merely to nourish themselves, but to feed the trillions of microorganisms in their gut, which in turn nourish and protect the host. This microbial symbiosis is critical for digestion, nutrient absorption, and immune surveillance. Antibiotics, while life-saving when necessary, are likened to robots with a kill-all mentality. They indiscriminately diminish both harmful and beneficial bacteria, leading to gut dysbiosis and impaired immunity. Barbara recounts her personal experience raising 8 children without antibiotics and seeing robust health outcomes, emphasizing the body's incredible ability to heal when given the right conditions. A significant portion of the discussion is dedicated to the immune system's structure, function, and how to nurture it. Barbara elaborates on the layers of defense, from the skin that forms the first barrier to the gut flora that protect the internal environment, and finally, the complex networks of white blood cells that actively patrol and respond to threats within the blood. Rather than viewing autoimmune diseases as inexplicable attacks of the immune system, Barbara rejects the autoimmune label, asserting that these conditions have underlying causes, such as environmental toxins, infections, and chronic exposure to allergens, that must be uncovered. She advocates a detective-like approach to health, investigating the root cause rather than suppressing symptoms with pharmaceuticals. Simple, foundational practices are recommended to support immune resilience. Proper hydration, with mineral-rich water and unrefined salts, early and sufficient sleep with particular emphasis on hours before midnight when healing processes peak, wholesome natural nourishment, and regular movement. One distinctive personal biohack Barbara swears by is the cold plunge, which she calls her drug of choice. This hormetic stress boosts immune function by stimulating bone marrow activity and invigorating the body's systems. Barbara strongly encourages a diet based on whole, minimally processed plant foods paired with quality proteins and fats, such as organically raised meats and fish, especially those rich in omega-3 fatty acids. She warns against common dietary offenders, including dairy from supermarket milk, modern hybridized wheat, oats due to lectins, peanuts due to mold contamination, and refined sugars, all of which can provoke inflammation and excess mucus in sensitive individuals. She stresses the importance of feeding the gut microbiome with diverse prebiotic fibers, urging consumers to aim for a wide variety of plant sources daily to promote a thriving and balanced microbial ecosystem. Fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, and kombucha are also seen as valuable for supporting probiotic populations. The conversation branches into the often overlooked domain of oral health and the oral microbiome. Barbara shares compelling evidence linking dental issues such as root canals and cavitations with systemic symptoms and illnesses, conveying the importance of maintaining a healthy mouth environment. Practices like oil pulling with coconut oil and using natural toothpaste without harmful chemicals are recommended to preserve oral microbial balance. The discussion also underscores how nutrition, hydration, and overall lifestyle influence oral tissues and systemic health. Sleep is addressed as a pillar of health and healing. Drawing from experts like Dr. Matthew Walker, Barbara describes how sleep stages before and after midnight differ, with the body's detoxification and memory consolidation processes occurring predominantly during early night hours. Adults and children alike benefit significantly from quality, uninterrupted sleep for brain and immune function. Barbara also highlights the significance of nose breathing for regulating the autonomic nervous system, improving nitric oxide production, critical for vascular health, and enhancing overall oxygen delivery. Mouth breathing, conversely, can trigger sympathetic stress responses and reduce sleep quality. Stress management and community connection are woven throughout the discussion as essential elements for wellness. Barbara encourages listeners to prioritize relationships, laughter, play, and purpose, all vital to optimize immune function and longevity. Barbara touches on chronic conditions like autism, fibromyalgia, and dementia, acknowledging their complexity and multifaceted causes. She describes autism as an inflammatory and neurodevelopmental condition linked not primarily to vaccines, but rather to environmental factors, including infant formula and artificial light exposure from screens. Regarding neurodegenerative diseases, she insists that many cases stem from modifiable factors such as poor sleep, toxin exposure, notably mercury, and nutritional deficiencies. She underscores the reversibility of some dementia cases through hydration, bowel management, and lifestyle adjustments. Recognizing the challenges of modern life, especially for working mothers, Barbara offers practical suggestions such as using slow cookers for nutrient-dense meals, prioritizing early bedtimes to harness restorative sleep, making movement a family activity, and keeping well hydrated with mineral-rich water. She emphasizes planning and simplicity as keys to successfully implementing healthful habits amidst daily responsibilities. To conclude, Barbara candidly reflects on what it means to be an ultimate human, emphasizing the joy and purpose found in helping others achieve their health potential. Despite being a modest and quiet individual, her impact through teaching and healing has saved lives and transformed communities. She advocates a compassionate, connected approach to wellness, one that respects natural healing, encourages curiosity and personal responsibility, and fosters a supportive environment in which everyone can thrive.